Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane!
It's
Leroy Jenkins!
He needs some milk!
What's going on, gang? So, I saw Superman. And I'm just gonna give you guys my thoughts. So, forgive me because I have just like bullet points here. It was a lot to take in.
Pause.
Especially at like 11 at night. Yeah, this movie is packed. Right off rip, I will tell you that there is a lot of content in this movie, and depending on who you are and how you feel about a very dense, now this is happening kind of film, you may or may not enjoy it. First half of this is going to be spoiler free. Then I'm going to get all into spoilers and give you a warning after I run out of spoiler-free things to say. So, just so you guys know, right? Just to kick things off, it is a very grounded telling of Superman. It is relatable, more relatable than most Superman movies. And I'm talking like the Brandon Routh Superman Returns, like where he is a stoic statue of a person who has very little lines. Even more grounded than Henry Cavill, I would say, and take that for how you will, but the story just feels more relatable, more realistic in a way. Now, I'm gonna say things later to kind of contradict that, but I just mean the characters specifically. The characters feel more grounded. The city feels lived in. So if you're into that, go ahead and see it. The visual effects. Okay, full transparency, I stay away from spoilers and other people's opinions until I get to see the movie for myself. Then I just kind of like binge. I binge Double Toasted, I binge New Rock Stars. Jeremy Jahns is one of my favorite movie critics ever, which is probably why the intro is the way it is. But it was a very big mixed bag, but the visual effects for me, top notch. The same cinematographer who did Guardians 3 did the cinematography for this movie. They used the same camera rig, and the visual effects team, they cooked. I know that you saw in the trailer, there are a couple shots where like Superman is like flying so fast that the camera can't catch up with him, and then, you know, we kind of do. And, you know, like the power scenes where he's using his powers and things like that, even when he's flying. Side note, I think that they saw the memes and kind of corrected David Cornsweat's eye, which is kind of fucked up, but it is what it is. The visual effects are phenomenal, in my opinion. I like them very much. Krypto, that's not a spoiler, he's in every trailer. Krypto looks and feels realistic, which is great. There are a couple other VFX scenes that I won't spoil, but hats off to the whole team. Hats off to the whole visual effects team. I enjoyed it. Sound design. The sound design is great in this film because there are some hands. There are hands in this Superman movie, which is great because we're used to, depending on, like Man of Steel, there were hands. Yes. Superman Returns. No. And then the Christopher Reeve Superman series, because it was like 4. I think there were 4 movies in that one. Yeah, like there were hands there too. But the sound design, like the thuds, I saw this in Dolby.
Okay.
Goodness gracious. Like it really does feel like someone is getting absolutely rocked every time a punch is thrown, every time someone lands, crash lands or anything. Even with Krypto, because he is a super dog, like you feel and hear the impact. And then the score, of course, it's an homage to the original Superman, the Christopher Reeve version. I like it. I like this rendition. I got chills during one moment, which I won't spoil, but there was one moment where the score kicks in on purpose, that sounds dumb, where the score kicks in and I got like actual goosebumps. It was great. So shout out to sound design and the score. Krypto, I enjoyed Krypto. So Krypto is based off of James Gunn's, I believe he adopted this dog, James Gunn's dog. And Krypto is very present in the movie, and Krypto is fun whenever Krypto is on screen. Krypto doesn't necessarily drive the plot forward all that much. And it's not an overuse of Krypto, and they don't like lean on him all that much. He does provide a ton of like comedic relief, but I don't think it's too much. So if you like dogs and you liked the Krypto Super Dog cartoon, then you might like this movie. Speaking of, the plot and everything, I thought the plot was okay. The plot wasn't awful like we're used to seeing in DC movies, where one name completely changes the entire course of the movie.
Martha! Why did you say that name? Why did you say that name?
It's his mother's name.
Yeah, the plot was fine. And I don't feel like this movie is bogged down by cameos. You know that there's Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, and Mr. Terrific in this movie. There are a couple other characters in this movie that, again, I won't spoil. But I don't feel like it's bogged down with cameos or the plot. Yeah, I don't feel like it's slow at all. Like, we get some moments to breathe, but honestly, this movie's pretty fast paced, which is crazy because it's 2 hours. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't like roll my eyes at any point because, MacGuffin or whatever. So hats off to that. Lex Luthor. I think that this version of Lex, this iteration of Lex Luthor, is one of the best iterations of Lex Luthor that we've ever gotten in live action. He's right up there with Michael Rosenbaum. Wrong! So shout out to Nicholas Hoult. Flowers for him. He is believable, and it is not like Jesse Eisenberg, no offense. He's actually menacing at points, so good job. And then David Cornsweet as Superman. I like this iteration. I like this version of Superman. I don't even think that it's fair to compare his version of Superman to Henry Cavill, because Henry Cavill's Superman has a special place in my heart, even though I do think that Henry Cavill wasn't given a lot to do as Superman. We all know the drama of him like being back once James Gunn got the reins, and then 2 weeks later he was like, psych, I'm not Superman anymore. Even though he had like the Black Adam cameo and all that other stuff. So yeah, I don't think that it's fair to compare the two. I think that the other comparison would be Christopher Reeve Superman. And while this is not on the same level, like David Cornsweet is not the same or as good of a Superman as Christopher Reeve. I don't think anyone could be, to be fair. I do think that he holds his own and he makes the character his own. And for that reason, it's, how do I put this? He's like top 3 Supermen that we've ever had, to be fair. So yeah, shout out to David Cornsweet. He grew on me as Superman, and going forward, I'm actually excited to see what else he has to bring to the character. So, yeah, if you can't tell, I actually enjoyed this movie very thoroughly. I enjoyed this movie a lot. I think that it was fun. I know that it's supposed to be like one of the highest grossing Superman movies ever, which is great because I want to see more of what the James Gunn DCU looks like. I hope that he doesn't take it upon himself to kind of illustrate the entire DCU. Like he wrote and directed this movie, and I know that he's a big Superman fan. He's a big comic book fan in general. But I would be very interested to see other people kind of take the foundation that he laid with this movie and then go forward with it. So yeah, I encourage you to go see it. I don't know if I would, I don't have a rating system just yet, but it's worth the money. It's worth the money. So yeah, go out and see it if you haven't. Even if you have comic book fatigue, which is understandable, and especially nowadays, still it's worth checking out. So yeah, that is the end of the spoiler-free section. Everything that I say from now on is going to be spoilers. You have been warned. This is your warning. Spoilers are coming. If you haven't seen it and you care, get the hell out of here. I appreciate you for tuning in. I appreciate you for, giving me your time. If you don't want to get spoiled, click off the video right now, because I'm letting loose. Pause. Okay, so in lay spoiler section, first and foremost, the whole cast is great. The whole cast is enjoyable. I mentioned Nicholas Hoult, and I will mention him again later, but specifically like the not as touted characters, like Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner is such a lovable asshole. he's such a lovable asshole in this movie. He gets his time to shine, but again, it's not too much. And he's kind of like a dickhead, but a lovable dickhead. You know what I mean? Like he spoils. So there's a part of the movie where Lois Lane is like trying to enlist the Justice Gang. That's what they're called. She's trying to enlist the help of the Justice Gang to help save Superman because he's been captured by Lex Luthor. And while she's trying to enlist their help, Guy Gardner just goes ahead and he spoils everything. Like, you can't trust this man with secrets. He's like, about the hypno glasses? So apparently in this iteration of Superman, it's not a posture and voice change. It's his glasses actually alter how he's perceived. So that's how he's not seen as Clark Kent. Or that's how he's differentiated between Clark Kent and Superman. But Guy Gardner he lets the cat out the bag, and then he just straight up says, so he's Clark Kent. It's like, what the fuck? But he does have his moments. He has a funny question about a plot point later that was just like gold. And I know that Nathan Fillion and James Gunn are like buds, so shout out to him though. He did his thing. Mr. Terrific, I'll get into later though. Phenomenal. And I think Lois Lane, I enjoyed her. I enjoyed the young lady who played Lois Lane. What's her name? Rachel Brosnahan. She is great as Lois Lane. And it's not even like, yes, I mean, Lois Lane notoriously is a very strong character. But she's strong in a way that makes sense in this movie. And it's not like she's out here telling Clark like, oh, you have to take me anywhere and you don't have a say in the matter. I'm going and I'm doing this and I'm driving the plot forward. She does drive the plot forward, but as a journalist. And there's a great scene in here where she is interviewing Clark and she's like, hey, like, are you sure you want to do this? And he's like, yeah, sure. And she lets loose and he wasn't expecting it, and they kind of like have a falling out, and it's like, hey, she warned you, dude. Like, she, so shout out to her. She gets shit done. I enjoyed her rendition as Lois Lane. Point blank, period. So the plot. The plot isn't bad, but basically, and James Gunn's fingerprints are all throughout this movie. You can tell that he wrote this. So we basically almost got like Brightburn / Invincible Viltrumite / Homelander Superman. Like we So when Superman gets his ass handed to him and he gets dragged into the Fortress of Solitude by Krypto, the Superman robots are playing a recording that was sent with him when he came to Earth. And it's incomplete because the file was like, or the recording was like damaged when he got here. So and it's in Kryptonian. So he's listening to Bradley Cooper, who's Zor-El, and who's his mom? Angela Seraphan. Angela Seraphan as Clark Kent's mom. Anyway, so he's listening to his parents in Kryptonian, and it's supposed to be soothing because he got his ass beat so bad that like 14 bones are broken, and he's got like a perforated liver and a collapsed lung and shit. So he has to basically get the ant treatment, and he has to get sunlight under a magnifying glass. And again, shout out to the sound design because you can hear his bones setting, and that's why he's in so much pain. But later on, the character of the engineer can put together the full recording, and basically his parents were like, listen, like, you can look out for Earth, but they're weak as hell. If you want to, you can take over the planet. And this is after we've already seen Superman save damn near everyone. Yeah, like we almost got an evil Superman if the recording was intact, apparently. Some other plot points were funny as far as like, so basically Superman has to deal with social media, and we find out that Lex Luthor has a legion of monkeys who sit behind a keyboard and just come up with slander and troll Superman on social media. And then once the audio is leaked from his parents, they push the narrative that Superman has a secret harem. So he's just been clapping cheeks, raising an army so he can take over the planet. And when we find out, like, everyone turns on him like in the blink of an eye, which is crazy. But that's actually closer probably to how people are in real life, to be honest with you. But Guy Gardner Green Lantern, he immediately asked him, like, do you have a secret harem? He's like, no. So that was great. I didn't expect that from a Superman movie, to be honest with you. But hey, it is what it is. I didn't hate it. Didn't necessarily like love it, but it's realistic, which is kind of goes to my previous point of it being more of a grounded take on Superman. And all of this is because of Lex Luthor. Dude, Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor is great. First of all, he's actually menacing. Dude kills somebody. Like, he plays Russian roulette with a dude that he kidnaps. So he captures Superman, and he basically is interrogating him in this pocket dimension that he came up with. And in order to get Superman to talk, he finds this dude who fed Superman one time. He gave him like falafel once. Lex Luthor tracked him down and basically held the man hostage at gunpoint in order to get Superman to talk. Superman doesn't talk. And bro, like, it was like the second round. Like, I mean, again, shout out to Nicholas Hoult. He is like, he's got crazy eyes going on, spinning this revolver, and mid-sentence, blow, like he just blows this dude's brains out. And it was like round 2 of Russian roulette, and we're just like, yo, like, damn. You know what I mean? He almost splits the world in half. He's such a selfish asshole. Like, he I mean, hey, I guess when you're rich like that, you can, I mean, he has a pocket dimension. I guess he really doesn't give a fuck. But yeah, he kidnaps a baby. He kidnaps Metamorpho's baby and holds the baby hostage, which is why we get Metamorpho. Spoiler. Well, I gave you a warning. Metamorpho is in the cell with Superman, and he can create kryptonite because apparently there's none left. And the way that Lex forces him to do that is because he has his baby. He has Metamorpho's baby, and he's like threatening to harm an infant. And then I guess to just top this off, he throws a pencil at like his girlfriend. And she starts like crying in like a server room closet. And then when his plans are kind of crashing down, he purposely like drops a mug full of like pencils and shit, and his interns all pick it up, and then he just drops it again. Because he's just such an asshole, which is fine, right? Because we want our villains to be evil. But he's also a genius, right? So he comes up with a pocket dimension, like just out of nowhere. Like it's already been pre-established. It's a whole universe full of black holes and everything. Kind of looks like it looks like the cubes from Cabin in the Woods. And he's just been sitting on this technology. He has teleporters like all over the world. It's crazy. He's even so intelligent that he's self-aware. So like spoilers, but Ultraman is a Superman clone. He's that in the comics too, right? So Ultraman is a Superman clone. Lex found do I have another one? Okay. Lex, no idea. Excuse me. Lex found Superman's hair at a previous battle scene or whatever, and he cloned. Whoa, that fucked up my back. Anyway, he cloned Superman because he has a lock of his hair. He also is responsible for the engineer. He like basically made her an android with nanotechnology. Excuse me. So he has like a bunch of like great inventions. He's not an idiot. He's rich as fuck. But so with Ultraman, Ultraman is a very dumb Superman clone. Like he doesn't even speak. He might have like one or two lines, but he doesn't really speak all that much in the movie. And spoilers, if you haven't finished The Boys or you haven't read the Boys comic, but it gives me strong Homelander Black Noir vibes. So if you didn't know, spoiler warning again, if you haven't read the Boys comic book, just go ahead and, you know, skip ahead a little bit because I'm about to spoil the end of it. So basically, in the universe of the Boys, Black Noir is a Homelander clone, and he frames Homelander for a whole bunch of crimes, which results in Homelander going crazy and like basically taking over the White House. And we find out that Black Noir did all of the things that Homelander was accused of, and his sole purpose was to end Homelander. He was basically created as a contingency plan. So Homelander was on the straight and narrow, and Black Noir was actually going crazy in the background, like, dude, I just want to kill him. So yeah, he made him go crazy, and they duke it out, and Black Noir wins. Spoilers about that, sorry. It's the same thing here. And it's crazy because, so like once we get the reveal and his mask comes off, there's a speaker on his chest so that Lex Luthor can speak for him. And also, like during the fight, I thought this was pretty cool. I know Jeremy Johns didn't necessarily care for it, but I liked it because Lex Luthor is basically sitting in this control room with a whole, like a fully staffed control room. It looks like a newsroom or like something you'd see out of like NASA or some shit, where you have everyone at a screen and they're basically piloting Ultraman. And every time Lex gives a command, Ultraman knows how to, will act it out in real life. So he's basically programmed Ultraman with fighting moves, and he just speaks them, and that's how he fights Superman. I like it because basically that tells me that Lex Luthor is so egotistical that if Ultraman were to beat Superman, he could technically claim, like he could take the dub because he was the one who ordered all of the moves. He's responsible for Superman's demise if Ultraman wins, right? And this is a not so subtle motif because they say it out loud twice, but like brains versus brawn. So the way that he dictates these moves, it's like A12 or like B15. It sounds like he's playing chess, right? Like I know you've all seen Harry Potter, or maybe even like professional chess players.
make my move, the Queen will take me. Then you're free to check the King. Not me, not Hermione, you. Knight to H3.
Like the chessboard is labeled. The grid is labeled, so you can just where something is going. So basically, Lex Luthor is playing chess when Superman and Ultraman are fighting, and I thought that was a nice little touch. Could have been reaching. I could be reaching, but I honestly believe that's the case. So I thought that was pretty cool. And he's even so smart that he's self-aware. Like he knows he's got character flaws. He just doesn't give a fuck. And there's a part in the movie where he like compares himself to like Einstein and Galileo, and he's like, every time I get those comparisons, I throw up in the back of my mouth a little bit. I was like, well, damn, you know what I mean? But yeah, W Lex. He's so upset. Like he actually cries at points during this movie. Like he gets so pissed off, he sheds actual tears. It's great. Speaking of hands, Superman gets his ass beat a lot. So it's great that we don't start with his origin story, because Lord knows we don't need to do that again. But basically we start, Superman's been Supermaning for 3 years. Everything's in threes. So like for 300 years, there've been metahumans. For 30 years, 30 years ago, Superman came to Earth. He's been Superman for 3 years. He got his ass handed to him 3 minutes ago. He took his first L, right? So we meet him, and he's already, like I said earlier, like he's fucked up. 14 broken bones, punctured lung, perforated like bladder or liver or something. Like he's destroyed by Ultraman, who's in disguise as the Baravian Hammer. And throughout the course of this movie, like Superman takes a few L's, like a few. He fights this like giant kaiju thing that looks like a combination of Stitch and an axolotl. And he needs the help of the Justice Gang in order to kind of get the job done. Ultraman like dislocates his shoulder at a point. It's insane. Like Ultraman gives him the business, and then the engineer damn near suffocates him with like nanobots that like fill his lungs and shit. It's crazy. I mean, Superman gets treated quite a bit. But you know, I would rather have that compared to keep going back to like Brandon Routh Superman, where he's like basically doing nothing, just carrying a bunch of big shit and like saving planes that are falling out the sky. Like that's the problem when you have one of the most powerful characters ever devised in comic book history. Like you either have to have him nerfed by things like kryptonite, which happens in this movie, or you have to have him fight someone who's on the same level power scale wise, i.e. Ultraman, which also happens in this movie. So it was fine, which I guess led to the more grounded feeling. Speaking of his powers and, you know, being on the same power level, the powers look great. I think he only uses his heat vision maybe 3 or 4 times. He doesn't spam it too much, but when he does use it, it looks cool. He flies fast as fuck. We all know this. And I mean, when he's like laying the hands, he is laying the hands. Like the thuds that shook my chair when, you know, he's going at it with whomever is phenomenal. And I think there was a nod. So during in the pocket dimension, he's trapped in this like anti-proton river, which scientifically speaking should have been a death sentence, but also in the comics, Superman has like this aura, like literal aura that protects him from most things. Whatever. It's a comic book movie. I'm not going to think too much about it. But he is floating down this river trying to save baby Joey, which is Metamorpho's son. And he's trapped in this river and he's like headed toward a black hole. And in order to save himself, he uses his super breath. I believe that's a nod to Superman when he like sneezed a solar system away. Like in the 50s when Superman first came out, he was so OP that his sneeze could destroy or disrupt the entire solar system. And I think this was a nod to that. But either way, still looked great. What else we got? There are a lot. Back to like, so I hinted at the cinematography earlier, but there are a lot of freeze frames that look like posters or comic book covers, and I'm here for all of them. So at one point when Lex Luthor's pocket dimension is literally ripping the Earth in half, people are evacuating Metropolis, and this woman's car breaks down on a bridge, and there's literally just a building about to like squish her. So Superman catches the building, and she drives away, but she looks back, and the building collapses. But as the dust clears, he's like floating in the middle of the debris. I need that poster. I need that poster. That shit looked phenomenal. There's another freeze frame in here where he is fighting Ultraman in like the crevice created by the Pocket Universe, and the sun is like shining on him, and he's like smirking at Ultraman for some reason. I think he got the upper hand when he called Krypto into the fight, and that was also beautiful. That's poster worthy. And then there was another one. So Lex Luthor in his control center is again like calling the shots. Superman flies into his control center and like tells Lex off, basically like, I put one foot in front of the other. I'm just as human as anybody. It was a great speech, which again leads to the more grounded feeling. So there's a small incline, and Superman is at the top of the incline, and Lex Luthor is standing maybe 4 or 5 feet from him, and he's on a lower, he's a little lower than Superman is. That shot right there, chef's kiss. That is another poster that I would definitely buy. So yeah, visually it was very pleasing to the eye. You forget about the trunks and stuff like that. Superman actually cares about saving lives in this movie, which is great. No more BVS. No more snapping necks. He saves damn near everybody in this movie, everyone he can. So when he fights the Stitch Axolotl Kaiju, he doesn't even want to kill it. He's trying to find a way to neutralize it without killing it. He pulls a vision and basically like flies up and then like cannonballs right onto the monster, but because he knocks it back, it almost like falls on people, so he saves those people. And then when it stands right set up, it almost squishes a squirrel. Superman saves a squirrel. He is saving literally every living, breathing thing, which I think is great because that's what Superman's all about, protecting those that can't protect themselves. So shout out to that. He really cares. And when he and Lois are having their debate about whether or not he should have intervened in international affairs, he gets really animated because he's like, listen, if I didn't, people were going to die. And that's all he cared about. He's like, if I didn't do what I did, people would have lost their lives. And she's like, yeah, well, but, and he's like, fuck that. People were going to die.
I would question myself in the same situation and consider the consequence.
How about 8 inches and thick?
So, W Soups. And because he cares about saving lives so much, there's a nice little dilemma at the end of the movie where the foreign conflict is still going on and Metropolis is literally being split in half. And Mr. Terrific is like, dude, I need you here. But there's this group of kids over in the foreign country that's being invaded by Baravia. And they have like a makeshift Superman flag, and they're basically like praying for him to show up. and he's like torn. He's like, because he sees this on TV in Kansas. He's like, what do I do? You know what I mean? He's like, like these kids need me. I gotta go there. But Mr. Terrific's like, listen, there won't be a that place if you don't stop the world from splitting in half. So, you know, I think that it's interesting. It's an interesting subject where you're so powerful that you can solve 90% of the world's problems without an issue, but you can't be everywhere at once. And I think that is a nice plot point to explore in future movies. He solves it this time by asking for the Justice Gang to help, which we get some good scenes out of that. So Nathan Fillion's Green Lantern is like flipping over trucks and flipping them tanks and flipping them the bird. Hawkgirl drops a political figure, like a literal leader of a country. Like she kills him because she just flies away with him and drops him. So that was interesting. Hawkgirl does this weird scream thing throughout the movie that I didn't necessarily get, but I did like the addition of the Justice Gang because it made me feel like an episode of Justice League or Justice League Unlimited, and it leans to a larger world that's been established that we're just kind of peeking into for the first time, which is nice. Mr. Terrific, speaking of the Justice Gang, Mr. Terrific is one of my favorite characters in this movie. He is so goddamn dope. He's played by, I want to get this actor's name right. Because he played Darwin in X-Men First Class. Eddie Gathwegi. Shout out to him. This Mr. Terrific portrayal is phenomenal. He gets his own time to shine. So basically, like, when Lois Lane asks for the Justice Gang's help, Guy Gardner's like, nah. But Mr. Terrific's like, I'll do it, and I'll help you, and I just want to do it to piss off Guy Gardner. Great. He's got his own T-ship. He's got T-spheres, which gives me some dude from Invincible. Oh my goodness. He was literally like the lead villain in this last season. Angstrom Levy. Oh my goodness. Angstrom Levy. He gives me like good Angstrom Levy vibes because he has these T-spheres that do a lot of everything, basically. So he basically like takes Lois Lane to like this military compound where Lex Luthor's teleportation device is being held, and he squad wipes the entire place. Dolo, just him and his T-spheres. He has Lois Lane protected in a force field, and of course there's like a needle drop because it is James Gunn, and it's like a 360 revolving shot. It's so great. Yeah, I really appreciate this iteration of Mr. Terrific. I don't know if we had a live action iteration of him before, but great casting. What else? Oh my goodness. Okay. So apparently, because we get, the Daily Planet staff as well, and Jimmy Olsen's in this movie. I enjoy the actor that plays Jimmy Olsen, who is Skylar Gisondo. Skylar. Apparently Jimmy Olsen has Riz. Like every female, save for Lois Lane, wants to bang Jimmy Olsen, and that's a funny plot point. It becomes relevant later, but it's just a running theme through the movie that isn't very much explained, and it kind of gave me vibes of Will Ferrell's character in The Other Guys, where he's dating like Eva Longoria, and Mark Wahlberg can't believe that he's married to his wife, and he just like is so nonchalant about it. So that was pretty cool. Speaking of Chekhov's selfies, so Lex Luthor's girlfriend is Tess Schumacher? Tessmacher? I'm getting my mockers mixed up. Tessmacher. Eve Tessmacher. Yes, played by Sarah Sampaio. She's seen all throughout the movie taking random ass selfies. And she's portrayed as like this dainty, kind of absent-minded young lady. But her selfies become relevant because basically after Lex Luthor hits her with a pencil, she is rizzed up, or no, she's been rizzed up by Jimmy Olsen. Apparently they have like a past. He calls her mutant toes in his phone. Like apparently her feet are ugly. But her selfies have basically, they contain all of the things that Lex Luthor has been up to. So she sends him a bunch of selfies that basically incriminate him and get him arrested at the end of the movie. So that was interesting. It was an interesting setup that, you know, I didn't see coming. So that was cool. I love the fact that we skipped the origin story. Don't need to see Superman be raised again, but he has great. We visit his childhood home. We see his childhood room, which is pretty cool. Give me some Smallville vibes. His mom and dad are country as fuck. His mom and dad are country as fuck, and that's fine because Smallville's in Kansas. They own a farm. Like it. I honestly feel like this is the way it should have been the whole time. And there's this one scene where Clark is sitting on the bench with his dad, with Pa Kent, and Pa Kent is just like, "I'm so proud of you," and that really pulled on the heartstrings. I know that in an interview, James Gunn said that the passing of his father was an inspiration for some of the things that are in this movie. So, well done. That was one of the more powerful scenes in the movie, to be honest. Lois and Clark are layered and believable. I like Lois, I said that before, but they're not perfect. You know what I mean? Like, even though he's got, you know, super schmeat and, you know, he is Superman, like, she still holds him accountable and takes him to task, and they fight. They're not perfect. So I like the direction that this is going. But it is already pre-established. Like, it's not a situation where she has to find out. She already knows when we start the movie. She already knows that Clark is Superman. What else? I believe there's a Mr. Mizbitlick. There's a Mr. Mizbitlick cameo in the movie because during some of the promo art, like, you see Superman putting his boots on or taking his boots off, and there's like a fight happening at night in the background. We get that in this movie. We actually see what that was. And Lois is basically like talking to Superman. He's like, listen, all these things I'm being accused of, I didn't do. I don't have a secret harem. I'm not evil. And in the background, the Justice Gang is fighting an interdimensional imp, is what he says. And that's what Mr. Mxyzptlk is. So I thought that was a nice little comic book Easter egg, if that is what I think it is. That scene is a little distracting. Jeremy Jahns was right. Like, I did pay more attention to Guy Gardner bopping that thing, whatever it was, with a Green Lantern bat, as opposed to listening to their actual dialogue. So, but it was still kind of cool. Speaking of hidden cameos and stuff, the cameos are great. They don't necessarily take away from it. We get Will Reeve, who's an actual reporter, son of Christopher Reeve, the quintessential Superman, who unfortunately is no longer with us. Sean Gunn, James Gunn's brother, is Maxwell Lord, the character who was played by Pedro Pascal in Wonder Woman 84. That was funny. I know he's going to be in Peacemaker season 2, or whatever season is coming out of Peacemaker. And Peacemaker makes a cameo on like a late night talk show, basically talking shit like Superman's just mad because he's not as jacked as I am. So that was funny. Which again speaks to like world building and how this is a pre-established world that we're peeking into. I enjoyed that. We get some James Gunn familiars as the Superman robots. So Gary, aka Superman robot number 4, is voiced by Alan Tudyk, who is a prolific voice actor. He was in Creature Commandos. He played like Clayface. Yeah, love Alan Tudyk. He's in here. Michael Rooker is one of the robots as well. I think he's like Superman robot number 12. No, he's Superman robot number 1. And then Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. She's Superman robot number 5. Excuse me. So yeah, we get some. There's also a secret like Michael Rosenbaum cameo in here, I think. So shout out to that. But the cameos didn't take away from the movie at all. It was just like blinking you'll miss it kind of things. I thought it was pretty cool. What else? Krypto is an asshole. Krypto is one of the most realistic dog portrayals that we've ever had. So, spoilers, Krypto is not even Superman's dog in this movie. He's dog sitting for his cousin, Zor-El, aka Supergirl. Which makes sense because Krypto doesn't listen to Superman for shit. Like at the beginning of the movie when Superman is like bleeding in the snow, he has to ask Krypto like 4 times. He's like, yo, bro, take me home. And Krypto is just so excited to see him that he like pounces on Superman and you hear his bones crack and shit. And he like yelps. Like Krypto fucks up the Fortress of Solitude. Krypto has to be taken with Superman because, like, while he's trying to save the day, Mr. Terrific's like, you brought your damn dog? And Superman's like, listen, bro, if I left him at the house with my mom and dad, like, he would have killed their cows. Like, Krypto is a bad dog. He's a little bit of an asshole, but he's such a sweetheart. If you own a dog or like dogs, you know what it is. So I just thought it was interesting to have this like chaotic, super powered dog here that could end anybody. Just kind of doing what dogs do, I guess. So that was pretty cool. Millie Alcock, who plays why did I say it like that? Anyway, young Rhaenyra Targaryen is Supergirl. She comes in at the very, very end. She's like fucked up because she went to a planet with a red sun and got drunk. Krypto sees her and like basically like gives her the Hulk Loki special when he sees her. Like, you can tell why Krypto has no home training. No training is like, she just doesn't give a fuck. She's like an absentee pet mom and a bit of an alcoholic apparently. So that was interesting. Hopefully she'll sober up for the Supergirl movie, maybe, or maybe not. Maybe it'll be a plot point. Who knows? And then last but not least, like the post-credit scenes, you can kind of skip them, to be honest. There's one where Krypto and Superman are sitting like on the moon and they're just like watching the Earth. That's pretty cool. It's pretty wholesome. But the last post-credit scene reminded me of like Spider-Man Homecoming, where Captain America is like, you know, sometimes you wait, and the thing that you get is not, what did he say? He might have said disappointing or underwhelming. Either way, it wasn't like a crazy post-credit scene that sets up something later. It's just Superman and Mr. Terrific. So if you haven't seen the movie, but you watch the spoiler section, you can skip the post-credit scenes. But yeah, so that's what I have to say about Superman. It was a great movie. I didn't expect it to be this good, but also I did stay away from most trailers and stuff like that. I did a reaction to like the first one, but stayed away from after that. And yeah, looking forward to Fantastic Four now, even though I know it's MCU and DCU and James Gunn versus Kevin Feige. I get all that. I'm still excited for the new iteration of comic book movies because it feels like we turned a corner. But appreciate you for watching, especially if you made it this damn far. I'm recording for damn near an hour. Like and subscribe, comment, all those things, and yeah, do something selfless, respect everyone, and go see this movie. I'm out.
Does anyone else hear that?
Yeah, and it's getting closer. And it sounds like awful.
Mine.